Hello and welcome to day 12 of the Halloween Craft Countdown at Craft with Sarah. Today I'm going to show you how to design your own cut and tuck cards in Cricut Design Space. These are beautiful and simple cards where you cut a little bit of the card out around the shape of an image so that you can pop it out from the card for a wonderfully 3D effect. As I'm going to be showing you the entire technique in this video, you'll be able to use it for any kind of card. You don't have to just use it for Halloween. So let's jump into Design Space and see how to make them. Before I start this tutorial, I just want to say sorry if you can hear any background noise. It is absolutely hammering it down with rain, so it is quite noisy in here. So if you can hear it, then I'm really sorry, but there's nothing I can do. But hopefully you can still hear me just fine. What we're going to do first in Design Space is to choose the image that we're going to use to make our cut and tuck card. To do this, go into Images and then have a little search for what it is you want to make. We are going to want something which we can make into a symmetrical image, but the actual image you choose doesn't have to be completely symmetrical, as we can fake it later. Butterflies and hearts are great images to use for this type of card, but as this is the Halloween Craft Countdown, I'm going to do some pumpkins. So let's type in pumpkin and see what there is. To make this easier to find a suitable image, go into Operation Type and choose Cut Only. And then we're looking for just a one layer image. So under Layers, choose Single. And this is just going to filter everything for us so it's easier to find what we can use for this type of card. You want an image which is fairly simple and kind of a silhouette style image. If you can find one that is already symmetrical, then awesome, but if not, as I said, don't worry too much about that. We want one that's quite filled in. This is probably a nice one to use, but I'll have to take that stalk off. I'm just having a little look through. So something like this pumpkin wouldn't be good to choose because it's got all of these gaps in the middle. Although, of course, if you wanted to, you could fill them in with the contour tool. Yeah, I think I'm happy with the one I've chosen, actually. That's another nice one, which is fairly symmetrical already. It kind of looks a little bit more like a peach than a pumpkin. All right, so I'm going to go with this one I've already got. So let's press Add to Canvas, and here it is. I'm not going to use the stalk as part of the actual bits that are going to fold, so I'm going to remove that. Because this is just one layer, we need to be a little bit clever with that. So let's go into Shapes and choose a circle. Now that I have the circle, I'm going to position it just over my pumpkin image so it's covering up that stalk. And then drag a box around both of them and press Slice down at the bottom. And that will cut out that top bit for me. So now that is separate. Can delete these grey bits. And I think I'll need to tidy that up to get those little ridges at the end. But for now, let's just stick with our pumpkin. To make this card, we need to use the offset feature. So I'm going to go into offset and then drag this really small. So we want it to be a tiny number, maybe just 0.1 would be fine. No, I think we can go even smaller. Let's go 0.05. Okay, just this tiny little line, and then press Apply. Drag a box around both of these, and then down the bottom of the Layers panel, press Slice again. And now we have this little outline of just the tiny little edge, and that's what we're going to use, so I can delete these other ones. Now here's the part where we can make this symmetrical. We need to cut this into two. So let's take our shapes and choose a square. You want to make sure you've got a square this time, not a circle, so that you've got a straight line. And then make it so that it covers about half of your design. And then select both of those layers. And again, we're going to slice. Delete the rectangle layers and then also I'm going to delete this side of the pumpkin. So now I just have this shape. I can click on it and then press duplicate along the top. And then we need to flip it to face the other way. So let's go flip and then flip horizontal. And then position that so it's nearly next to the first half, but we have a little gap in the middle. And that's because we're going to fold down these lines vertically. So we need this gap in the middle so that it doesn't cut out the whole shape. Otherwise, the sort of bending upwards of the 3D pumpkin effect won't work. I want these to line up, so I'm going to select them once more and go align and then align top, just to make sure that they are nicely positioned. And then let's just put the stalk back. I actually quite like that it's got those little pointy bits on the bottom, but if you don't want them, you could slice them off. So this is going to be one of my pumpkins nearly ready. I just need to add some score lines. If you don't have a scoring tool, then you can skip this step. But if you do, it's definitely worth it as it makes the card much easier to create once we've cut it out. Go into shapes and choose a score line. And then I'm going to just line it up along the pumpkin, zoom in a bit, and make it so that it touches the top and the bottom. And then I will just put it along that edge, duplicate it to make a copy, and put one on that other edge. We're going to come back to this pumpkin in a moment, but for now, select everything and press group. And that's put it all together so it can all be moved as one. But for now, I'm going to hide it. So click the eye icon next to that group in the Layers panel. And this is a new feature of Design Space as of the end of September 2021, where when you hide something, it goes kind of semi-transparent in the Layers panel, so it fades it out. So if you're wondering why it's gone so that you can't see it, that's why. Okay, so now I'm going to make my card front. And I'm going to go into shapes and choose a square. I'm going to use a pre-made 5x7 inch card for my actual card that everything's going to get stuck on, because I've got quite a lot of them in my craft stash that I'm trying to use up. So all I need to do instead is to make my mats and layers to go on the front. Untick the padlock at the top, and now you can type in the width and height. So my card is 5x7. I want this to be a little bit smaller than that. So I'm going to go 4.75 as the width and 6.75 as the height. And then I think I will make this an orange color. And then I want another one, so duplicate it. I right-clicked and duplicated it then, but you could also still click the link at the top. This one, I'm going to make a black rectangle and make it a bit smaller again. So I'm going to go 4.5 by 6.5. And that will sit in my middle here. And then I want one more color. So duplicate. Oh, I missed it then. Let's try that again. Right-click and duplicate. And open up the padlock. Make this even smaller. So now I'm on 4.25 and 6.25. And this one I will do as just kind of pale yellow for now, but I'm actually going to use patterned paper, I think, to make it. Okay, so now I need to line these all up. So let's press select all and then go align and center. We can now start adding the pumpkins in. So find your group. It's a little bit hard to see, but then click the eyeball and it will come back on. And then click it and go arrange, center front to move it to the front. And then I'm going to just position a couple of these on my card. So there's one, duplicate it, and I'll add another one on the bottom. The rain is absolutely going for it now, so you can probably hear it. Okay, if I zoom in, you'll be able to see what I'm doing a little bit easier. I'm going to cut my pumpkins through both the yellow and the black piece, which means I need 2 copies of them. So let's just close up these groups by clicking the arrows and then click one of them, press Shift on your keyboard and choose the other one. And then I'm going to group them again. So now these 2 pumpkins are one group instead of 2, which means I can duplicate them and then select both of those groups. So click one of them, press Shift and choose the other one and go Align and then Center, just to make sure they're perfectly aligned. Now I need to attach all of these cut lines to the coloured rectangles. So to do that, I'm going to click on the bottom one first and ungroup it. And then I'm going to hide the yellow square. And then so that you can actually see what I'm doing, I'm just going to change the colour of that one to blue for now. So now I have these 2 pumpkins. And I don't need the stalks in this one. I only need to cut the stalks once. I'm just going to click those layers and delete them. And then I can select one of those pumpkin groups. I'll hide the top one to make it clear what I've done. So click that one, press Shift and choose the next one. Press Shift again and choose your coloured square. And then down the bottom, press Attach. And now those cut lines have actually disappeared. They are still there. If you look in your groups, you can see they do still exist. It's just a little design space bug where they're not showing up. We can try to force them to show up if it makes it easier for you to sort of see what's going on. So I'm going to try selecting the square first and then the groups and then try attaching it. No, it still did it. Sometimes if you change the order in which you attach things, then it shows it, but we can see that it is working because if you click Make It at the top and go down to the blue, it does have those edges of the pumpkins on, so we know that it is actually going to cut them. Okay, so I can hide that and then bring in my other one and then my other colour, so my yellow. And this time I'm going to ungroup these pumpkins, and I'm also going to ungroup the individual pumpkins because I don't want my stalks to be attached. I want them to cut separately, so I need to ungroup everything. I'll drag those stalks to the top in the layers panel and then select all of these and my yellow rectangle and press Attach. They've disappeared again. That's very strange. It's a very annoying Design Space bug. But now I have both of those layers with the pumpkins on, and then if you drag the stalks to the top, they're going to cut. I want to cut them in my same orange colour. So let's go to Colour Sync and just drag them over. And now they'll cut on that same mat. So I can just use one piece of orange. And this is now ready for me to save and cut out with the Cricut. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'll show you how to stick it all together. Here's everything cut out and I've just laid it on top of each other. I did change my mind about the colours from what you saw in Design Space. So we're going to start with our largest rectangle, and that's just going to be stuck onto the base card. I'm going to use some double-sided tape, and for this I like the Easy Runner Grand Tape Runner. It makes it really, really simple and quick to add on the double-sided tape. So we can just run down the edges. There we go. And then put this in the middle. There we are. And now we can move on to the pumpkin layers. So you can see here where we make that tiny little offset, that has cut out of the pumpkin just a tiny slither of card. So it'll allow us to fold it up. We need to start with the bigger one. So for me, that's my black card. It's a little bit hard to see. But what you need to do is just look where those score lines are and fold up the card along that score line. So that's one half of the pumpkin. And then let's do the other one. There we are. And then the other one, fold up one side and then the second side. And this is why it's a lot easier if you score it with the Cricut. But there we go, there's that one. And then I'm going to stick this into the middle again. But make sure you don't put any adhesive underneath where the little pop-up bits are. Let's turn this over. Flatten it out again so it's easier. And then I can put it all the way down the sides. There we go, and I'm going to put one bit down the middle of the card between the two pumpkins, just for that extra bit of stability. And then stick this in the middle, there. And then do the same thing with the top layer. So this one should be easier for you to see what I'm doing. I'm just folding along those score lines. There. And then this is going to sit on top, and you can see the black pieces just come through the holes in the orange to give us that double colour effect. So let's add the adhesive on here. And down the middle. And then line this up. Oh, I've not stuck that very straight. Let's just try again. That is what I struggle the most with on cards. Sticking things straight. That's better. Okay, so now we have our little pop-up effect, and you can see the orange and the black, and then it's showing my patterned paper through the holes at the side. And just one last thing to do, because these don't really look like pumpkins at the moment. I'm just going to glue the stalks onto the top. I cut these from the black card, the same as the pumpkins. So there's one. And then number 2 at the top there. And then there we go. So you could then add some sentiments. I'm not quite sure who I'll be sending this to yet, so I'm going to leave mine empty for now, and then I'll probably personalize it a little bit more once I know who it's going to. But this is a really nice effect, and you can do it for any image. It doesn't need to be pumpkins. And the best thing is they fold completely flat. So this is a really affordable card to put through the mail or the post, because you can make it completely flat. And then when it comes out the envelope, it'll just pop up and show all of the different layers. Mine's not popping up as much as it could because the card I used is probably a little bit thick. But to show you another example, there is this card which I've made previously, and it uses exactly the same technique, but I've done it on butterflies, and I've actually got 3 separate layers. So I've got the white butterfly, then there's purple underneath that, and then a blue underneath there. So when you look at it from the side, once the butterflies are all popped up, there's loads of different colours in there. And then for the background, I've done this using the Nuvo Shimmer Powder that I showed you how to use in one of the earlier videos in the Halloween Craft Countdown. So if you'd like to know how to do that, check out those earlier videos. But for now, here are my little cut and tuck cards all finished. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to design your own cut and tuck cards in Cricut Design Space. If you make any of these cards, I'd love to see a photo. So please share a photo in my Facebook group. The link is in the description. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the remaining videos in this year's Halloween Craft Countdown, Go to craftwithsarah.com/Halloween 2021 to make sure you get all of the designs. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!